Hello, everybody. Hi. Thank you for coming out to Flyleaf Books tonight. We are your local independent bookstore. So thank you for sitting in our chairs and buying our books. We really appreciate it. This evening, we have the pleasure of hearing from Karen Booth as she presents Not So Fast with Sarah Grunder Ruiz. Karen Booth is a Midwestern girl transplanted in the South, raised on 80s music and repeated readings of Forever by Judy Blume. A married mom of 2 college-age kids, she is the author of more than 40 steamy contemporary romances, translated into 17 languages. Sarah Grunder Ruiz is a writer, educator, and karaoke enthusiast. Originally from South Florida, she now lives in Raleigh with her husband and 2 children. She holds an MFA in creative writing from NC State, where she now teaches first-year writing. All right, thank you for coming. We did sell out of the book, as a lot of you know. Thank you. So for anybody who still wants a copy, you can order one up at the front. When it comes in, Karen has nicely offered to come and sign them, so that you will still have a signed copy.
And I'll personalize or whatever. Just tell them what you want, and I'll do it.
Yes.
Within reason.
Ask her to do weird stuff.
All right, that's all for me. I'll hand it over to the authors.
Hello, everyone. I know that Karen knows a lot of you, but I don't, so it's nice to meet you. And, okay, I'm sorry, but when I hear your bio, I just have, like, my brain just stops working. 40 books? That's like a 4 and a 0.
This one's actually 47. Number 47.
47.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, this is maybe a personal gain for me, but, like, how?
Well, I don't know. Actually, I really honestly I don't know. I mean, that sounds so silly, but it's like, you know, you're on this kind of hamster wheel and you just keep going because if your publisher wants more books, you just write them. So that's kind of how it happened. I mean, part of it was because I was writing category romance and the speed of that is so fast.
Not so fast.
Yes. Now I'm not.
So you're a liar.
That's right. Well, no, but now I'm not so fast. I'm doing like 1 book a year right now. But I mean,
that's not fast. Sorry.
Well, when I was writing for Desire, I did as many as 5 books a year.
That's bananas.
Yeah. But you know, you just kind of get in a groove, and it's sort of the closest you can get to having a day job as a romance writer, because there was actually one of the worst parts of being an author is the promotion. Is like having to like promote your book and all of that. And when I wrote category romance, when I wrote for Harlequin Desire, I didn't really have to promote it that much. It was just kind of a built-in audience. They just wanted more books, and so.
I'm sorry. Wait, so you're telling me your publisher actively just wants more books from you? You don't have to like cry about it?
Well, no, that was back when Desire existed, but of course, all good things come to an end. So
not your career, apparently.
No, well, I've luckily been able to transition into writing for this new line that they have. But so yeah, it was just.
I've written 3.
I know, but that's still a lot. 3 is hard.
I know.
The first 3 were really hard. Actually, the first one for me was the easiest, only because I knew nothing and I was stupid. And
don't you love that?
Yes, I did.
Bliss.
Yeah, totally. I didn't worry about all the things that I worry about now.
What do you worry about now? Not to get too deep.
I worry about.
I need to pick a
Yeah, I worry about what people are going to think. You know, there's the people I see at the grocery store versus romance readers. Romance readers want things that are like extra super extra spicy. And then you like run into your neighbor and they read your book, then that's like a different thing. Or like your mother-in-law reads your book.
Oh,
so
my brother-in-law is a priest and he reads my books.
Okay,
I'd say he's one of my biggest fans. My books are not very spicy. He knows which chapters to skip.
Right. No, I know. It's very funny. My mother-in-law, Steve's mom, he's closing his eyes. She will, when she's with me around other people, she will kind of give the pitch, like, Karen's books are so good. They're so good. You should really read them, and you can just skip over the sex part. and you'll still understand what's going on. So anyway,
Well, this is maybe side note, but with my last book, I'd say that was the spiciest book that I had written, and my parents like to listen to the audio.
Oh.
And I'm just like, I'm sure we have an agreement here. We're just not going to talk.
Right, you can't talk about it.
But
No.
the thing is, my mother is like a troll.
Okay.
Like not in behavior. And she called me and she's like, yeah, your dad made it through the sex part. And I was like, and that was just one of them. And I was like, no, he hasn't. Also, why are you doing this to me? So I guess that was a side note. But anyway, why don't you tell us about this book?
Okay.
Give us a little pitch if we don't know, which is every author's least favorite question to be asked.
Well, okay, so I'll tell you the origin story of this book. Perfect. I had a call with my editor, and she's actually a new editor to me. I've worked with her for years, but wasn't my primary editor, and now she's my primary editor. So anyway, we had a Zoom call just to catch up and all this stuff, and I asked her what she wanted, because the reality is that in romance, most of the time you don't know what people want. So any chance you can ask them, what do you want? And if they actually answer the question, that's a good thing. Anyway, she listed off a few things that weren't really resonating. And then she said, I really want a Formula One romance. And I basically exploded because during COVID, thanks David Cayley, I got really into Formula One through Drive to Survive, like a lot of people did. And then our daughter is really into it. My husband's into it. And, our friend circle is really into it. And I hadn't really thought about writing a romance set in that world, but it was really exciting because I felt like, I don't know, the ideas just kind of immediately started to come to me, which is nice because that doesn't always happen. So it's basically, it's about a British driver who
is really hot.
Yes. Named Xander Bishop, and he started his career at a small team that were very low expectations, and he was kind of surpassed everyone, what anyone thought he could do in the car that he was in. So he got signed by a much bigger team, and ever since then he's been sucking. Really, really, really sucking, and he can't figure out why. And he has this older, much more experienced teammate who is just kicking his ass and rubbing his face in it constantly. And so for those of you who don't follow Formula One, there's only 2 drivers on a team. And so you automatically, even though you're on a team, you have this rivalry with them because one of you is going to do better than the other every single race. And of course, the one person you want to beat more than anyone is your teammate. So anyway, and then the heroine is an American, and she has a fan podcast. I actually listen to a lot of fan podcasts for the sport. There's a lot of female-led fan podcasts, which are great because they, they're not constrained. They can say things about the sport that, a journalist wouldn't be able to say. So anyway, so Mia is very smart and not very good at holding her tongue, and she says some things about Xander that kind of make her podcast take off. And
do you want to tell us what she said?
Yes. She said that he was driving like he had his dick in his hand. And
I was like, girl,
So that made her podcast kind of go viral. And so then he hears about it and he doesn't like it because he's already doesn't want to be criticized, of course. And but then his teammate, who's already trolling him, invites Mia to come to a race.
Love this.
And she's already kind of becoming a little celebrity for basically saying that Xander is horrible. So it's all these kind of mind games or whatever, but it's a chance for Xander and Mia to meet, and that's when kind of especially to Xander's chagrin, the sparks fly.
It's not so fast.
That's right, exactly. So anyway, that's the basic setup for the book.
It is so cute. It is so fun. And I loved Mia. Probably because she has a hyperfixation on a special interest and doesn't have a filter when she talks and does a little info dumping, and I do not relate to that at all. But I appreciate it. Yeah. How did you develop her character? Who came first, Mia or Xander?
Mia did, definitely. You know, I have friends like this who have a lot of degrees, who are super smart, who... Stephanie's looking around. But anyway, I've known a lot of people like that, and they don't always get to funnel all of their smarts and their education into what they want to do. And there's, you know, it was a chance for me to talk about, you know, there's certain jobs that are kind of going away, like journalist. Her mom is a journalist. She got a journalism degree because she really loves her mom and was kind of trying to follow in her mom's footsteps. And that, you know, career I'm not really even sure what that is anymore. So anyway, but the thing about Mia that I related to most is just she overthinks everything.
What?
Because, what?
No way.
Because I do that same thing. And I think a lot of people do. And so I felt like she would be relatable for that kind of aspect of her personality, where she looks at everything from all angles, which can be a good trait, but can also be a bad trait.
It can be exhausting.
Yes. Right, exactly. And I think she's exhausted. And she's trying to succeed and find something that she's good at. And so when the podcast takes off, you know, she's holding on to it with everything she has. But it gets complicated when she gets involved with a driver, because then she's kind of losing all of her perspective.
She's like, not so fast.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, that's Mia.
I love that she's not just really smart and has her podcast, but she's also like really bold. She does things that I would never do.
Right.
Because she said that thing she said
right
about Xander, and then she gets invited to this race by Dirk.
Yep, Dirk,
which is a perfect name.
Yeah, of course, the bad guy is Dirk.
You know, me, I'd be like, I'm going to avoid Xander by any means. She's like, I need to find him.
I need to find him.
And talk to him. Yeah. I need him to apologize to me. And I'm like, girl.
Right.
Not so fast. I will try to say.
Well, you know what this is like. When you're writing fiction, you get to act out all of your fantasies that you would never do. Like, I would never do that in a million years. My friend Ashley would do that. She would just walk up to somebody and like have a confrontation with them or whatever. I would never do that. So it's kind of a chance for me to pretend that I am something I'm not, or at least to model that in a character.
What was the most challenging part of writing this book? And what was the most fun?
The most fun was just watching the romance grow between those two, because they're just, neither one of them ever saw themselves with someone like the other person. And so, to me, that's, you know, he lives in this very exclusive, exciting world that she never thought she would be a part of. But he's also in this very kind of like this little bubble where he doesn't meet people, you know, he doesn't really meet normal, everyday people. And if he does, he has every reason to think that they, you know, want some proximity to him because he's famous or because he's, you know, an athlete or whatever. So that was the most fun. The hardest part was figuring out how to make a race exciting in prose.
So can you tell me how you do that?
So the only thing I could think about was that because the book is in dual point of view, so we get, you know, scenes from both characters' point of view, and he's in the car and she's watching the race, that just doing these like short little snippets where I went back and forth. And so you get sort of, you know, him thinking about the things he needs to do, how badly he wants to do well, and then her really being helpless, you know, because any sports fan knows that. You're right. You're watching. You're so helpless. You really want something to happen, but you have zero control over it. So between those two things, you get this kind of the different sides of them both wanting the same outcome, but is it going to happen? Is it all going to come together? So once I figured that out, it was great, but it took a lot of, like trial and error, just trying to figure out how I was going to do it. I did write several races where it was like, half of a chapter from his point of view and then half of it from hers, and that was really when I was pretty depressed, and because I couldn't see how it was going to turn out. It was such a simple solution, but and it worked.
It's always like, hey, here's the easiest, simplest thing you could do, but you have to like go around in circles to figure it out. That's my writing process anyway. Maybe
that's mine too. A lot of times I have to write something the wrong way to figure out what the right way is. Yeah.
Somebody write that down. That's great advice for any writer, I would say.
Well, yeah. A lot of times I write scenes in the wrong character's point of view, and then I realize that, this would be a lot better if it was in the other person's point of view.
That happened to me with my third book, because my first two only have a single point of view, and my third is a dual point of view. But I didn't know that when I started it.
Okay.
And so when I was writing it, I had written it was like chapter 3, and it was from the heroine's point of view still, and I was like, this is so boring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is wrong?
Right.
What's going on?
Right.
The plot is fine. And then I was like, what if it was in his point of view?
Mm-hmm.
Same scene,
right?
But so much more energy on the page.
Right.
So how do you make the decision for what's in what?
Usually for me, it's I'm just thinking about who does this mean more to.
Will you write a book about it?
Okay. No, just I think that's you think about an argument or whatever, and you might write half of it in one character and the other half in the other one, but it is whoever has the most to lose really should be the person who starts the argument, and those like really meaty parts that where they're having to expose their vulnerability or whatever. That's I don't know. To me, that's the best way to do it. But it doesn't mean I like automatically know.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I don't know because I have to write the whole argument. I really love writing arguments, by the way. I don't like arguments in real life at all, and I avoid them at all costs, but I love writing arguments. So somebody said that the shower was the artificial argument simulator, because it is true. If you're in the shower and you're thinking about arguments, like that's actually where like a lot of the dialogue comes into my head when I can't write it down. But yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have any other pro writing tips for me, by the way?
You have to sit in your chair and do it.
Okay, but not that one. Anything with that.
No, it's funny. I talked about this on Threads the other day, because you would think you've done something 47 times that maybe you've like figured it out, and I haven't really figured it out.
So you figured out how to write that book,
right? And that's the thing. Every single one is different, and that's not really the answer that anybody wants. But I approach every book in a slightly different way. Mm-hmm. And part of it is because the plot is really coming together for you, or the characters are really coming together for you, or you're seeing things that you didn't imagine initially. I don't plot that much ahead of time. But I do plot some. I didn't start out that way. I totally started out as someone who did not know at all what was going to happen in the book, which is called pantsing. For you non-writers, it's called pantsing.
Plotters?
Yes.
Pantsers and planters.
Oh yeah, there are planters. And what are you?
I'm a planter.
Okay.
Usually.
What do you do? How much do you plan?
My process tends to be I write I think for a bit. Mm-hmm. I like the Save the Cat Writes a Novel, mm-hmm. novel beats. It's like 15 beats.
Right.
And if I can write a pitch, so like whatever's on the back of the book, mm-hmm. if I can write a pitch and I have some beats, that's where I start. And then I kind of like fumble around mm-hmm. until I could grab a chapter 1.
Right.
And then it's kind of, at least for my first 3 books, it was I would write up to a certain amount and be like, oh, now I know what this is supposed to be, and go back and revise and like slowly make progress
Right.
forward. The book I'm working on now does not want to be written that way, and it's ruining my life, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that happens. Is you think you have it all figured out, and then you hit a rough patch, and then
I've just accepted that
everything
I do
goes
not
off.
have it figured out.
yeah, and and that's just part of the process, I think. So yeah, because writing a novel is just the most, you not only have to, people are like, oh, it's like putting together a puzzle. Well, really, it's like making your own frickin' puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
Like figuring out what it looks like at the end, and then making your own pieces, and then like jumbling them all, and then figuring out an artful way to put them back together that is entertaining and interesting and all of those.
I think it's like having a bunch of pieces and you're like, is this part of the same puzzle?
Right.
I don't have the picture of it.
Yeah.
I have an idea of what it could be.
Right.
But then you're like, wow, half these puzzle pieces don't even belong to this puzzle.
Right. Yeah.
But somehow, it's like getting a puzzle from a thrift store and you don't have the original box and it's like maybe 4 puzzles
Right.
put together.
Right.
And then you gotta be like, wow, gotta make a picture out of this somehow because I'm on a deadline.
Yes.
How do you
That
like
resonates.
Deadlines?
Oh,
How's that? Do you need them?
Poorly. No, I do.
Okay.
I do need deadlines. I need deadlines. I mostly meet them.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, I do like really plan out. I have to write X number of words every day.
I love that for you.
So, and when I'm actively writing, I get up really early in the morning,
Me too. What time do you get up?
like 5:30.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the time to be. That's the
Yeah.
time to be awake.
And I can get more done between like 5:30 and 7 than I get done the whole rest of the day.
My brain is like, oh, it's past noon. No,
Yeah,
we're not
yeah.
doing anything.
I can get some stuff done late afternoon, but it is very much like you have to know your own mind and your own creativity and when it's going to be working and when it's not.
I can't. No offense if this is you people, but like writing at night.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
No, the Adderall's worn off my head. It's not happening.
Yeah, no, I can't write at night. I know I have a lot of friends who do that, who like stay up until 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning, but I can't do that.
Mama's asleep by then.
No. And the good thing about writing first thing in the morning is just that
You did it.
you did it. There's that. But also I feel like my brain is working on it the rest of the day. Like the
That is
characters
so
are
true.
talking to me, and so then I just, I have momentum, which is the hardest part.
When you're actively drafting, how do you write 5 days a week, 7 days a week?
I try to not write on the weekends.
Yeah, try.
Yes.
Being the operative
That's
word.
family time. It's time with my husband.
How dare they?
I know.
Ask for time.
So I try to just write Monday through Friday. But that works for me. But it's also hard to start on Mondays. Like Mondays are, like I'll have a goal for the whole week, but Monday is a very low bar.
That's smart.
Yeah. Like if I want to write 15,000 words in a week, I'll try to write like 1,000 on Monday.
Yeah.
And then 2,000 on Tuesday. But then like Wednesday or, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I need to be cooking.
Whenever my students have like a paper due
Mhm.
and they're like, 5-page paper, I'm like, shut up. Oh, 1,000-word paper? I'll
Right.
cry about it. You have a month.
Right.
They love me, by the way. I think they do.
Well, I mean, what's like the main writing advice you give to your students?
Write shitty first draft.
Okay.
And I tell them to like chill the fuck out.
Right.
And they're like, wait, what?
Right.
I'm like, no, I need you guys to calm down. It's English 101.
Right.
Like, stop comparing your first draft to a finished product.
Right.
So, like, I talk to a lot of aspiring authors,
Mhm.
and they're like, Sarah, I've been working on this book, and my characters are flat, and it just is bad. I'm like, yeah, it probably is.
Mhm.
Also good, because you're writing. I tell them that writing is thinking,
Mhm.
and you're thinking on the page. You don't know what it is yet. You're still figuring it out. I
Right.
try to tell myself that.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard to remember.
So, do you ever get to the point where like students overwrite things? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're like, Sarah, my paper. At first, they're complaining that they have to write a 5-page paper,
right.
and then they turn in like a 10-page paper. And I'm like, dude, no,
Because you have to read that.
I'm supposed to. I do read their papers. But yeah, well, my favorite thing about my job is when, and where I think I've taught them well how to write, is when they come in and they're like, Sarah, I had this paragraph and I cut the whole thing. It wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And I just start like clapping gleefully, and they're like, what is wrong?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're not making something that doesn't work. Try to work to meet your word count.
Right.
Like, if it's deleting is one of the most important parts of writing.
Yes.
Cut it out. Yeah. But it's fun to teach academic writing because it's a little break from the other kind of writing.
Sure.
But I do think it gives me a unique, because of the volume that I write, which is not anywhere near yours, clearly. It gives me a unique perspective on writing as a whole, and not just in an academic sense. And they think that's hilarious.
Right.
I show them pieces of my first draft, like the first week of class.
Right.
So they believe me when I say that professional writers write shitty first drafts.
Yeah.
I'm like, here it is, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're just like, who is this lady? And can I drop this class?
So do you think that younger generations are losing creativity? I've heard people pontificate about this.
I would say they're not a monolith. Right?
Okay,
So
yes, sure.
I think that what I see, my students have over time become better writers. And I think part of that is I'm getting better at teaching, so that's good. But I think the other part of it is that, especially Gen Z, I love them, okay? They have been through it, right?
Yep.
And so they're just like, things kind of just all around suck. And so they're not as like stressed out about their grades. And that gives me and them the opportunity to like, okay, let's take some risks.
Right.
And so I think that I don't think we can blame them if they're losing their creativity when we're forcing them to write first drafts in 45 minutes that decide their whole, like, where they're going to go to college.
Right.
And that's not how writing works when you're a professional writer. So I think if their creativity is stifled, it's not their fault. It's how many clubs do we have them in? Do they ever have downtime? Do they ever get to be bored?
Right.
What are we expecting of them? Are we expecting them to be perfectionists? Perfectionism is what I see in these kids. That is the hardest thing to help them unlearn. And if they can learn to embrace failure and to mess up, that's when you're going to see creativity. And
Stephanie, I know you're nodding over here. Stephanie's a brilliant therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist. And you wrote an amazing piece about how we don't let kids fail anymore. Like, it's just all or nothing. Yeah. And I just think about all the times I've messed up in my life. I mean, that's when you learn the most. Is when you mess up. And so, the fact that we don't, there's just too many, everything is like, I don't know, there's too many ramifications to everything.
And I think, if we want a more creative world, especially with, AI everywhere, is we have to take away some of the dire consequences of messing up,
right?
So that you can be a human in your work. And I think that I tell my students, I mean, if you want to go ahead and write your paper with ChatGPT, you can, and I will grade whatever you turn in, but I'm going to grade it if it's good or not. So I think you would spend a lot more time trying to make your paper good with ChatGPT with all the commands and stuff you have to do than if you just wrote it. Right. They're just taking their own opportunities away in that sense. But
absolutely.
I try to make it hard.
Right. Well, does anybody have any questions? Because I know a few people said something. Hey, Lane, I'm calling on you.
So the Formula One theme that the publisher gave you seemed like this huge gift because you're super into it, right?
Yes.
Have you ever been in a situation where they've given you something that was just like, football?
No.
How dare you?
I'm sure the pickleball romance is going to take off.
It has. I do have to just briefly cut in and say you are at the exact right time.
I hope so. And that's what I'm hoping.
What can you tell everyone what happened today?
Oh yeah, People Magazine reviewed it.
Magazine.
It comes out the issue comes out tomorrow, I think. It's got Hoda on the cover. She's talking all about why she left the Today Show. So, yes, I mean, they had me write multiple cowboy books, and those are super popular. Cowboy romances are super popular. It's just not my thing at all. I have a problem with the footwear. That's like the number one thing. I don't think cowboy boots are sexy except on women.
Whoa.
So,
whoa.
I know.
I'm in
just
my
gonna say
cowgirl
it.
era right now.
So, well, see, I said
not so fast.
I said on women. On women. But yeah. So that was a little that was not easy.
So you're not gonna go line dancing?
No.
Not that I know how to
I'll go
do
line
that.
dancing with you.
Okay.
I don't know. And it's funny, I really like horses. So I always definitely put horses in
It's
the...
really unfortunate that I brought you a
I
bunch
know.
of cowboy boots.
I know. I don't know. I just don't think that a man in a cowboy boots is sexy.
You heard it here
So
first.
that's me.
Cowboy boots for men. No.
That's my... Yeah. That was the hardest one.
Any other questions? I have so many right now.
Okay. Beverly in the back.
I had a couple. One related to what Lane asked too. Like, does your editor? How do they know what people want? Do they?
Oh, they don't. They don't know.
Surveys.
No, they just guess. And you know,
No,
it's
what
fun-
we're doing now is you're finding independently published
Yeah.
authors who are already successful and piggybacking off of their success
Right.
is what I'm saying. I'm not on contract, so I can say
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. They don't always know, and they always invariably take it too far if something is hot. You know, when I first started writing for Harlequin, it was literally every single book was, can you put a baby in it? Can you make her pregnant? Can you make her get pregnant? That's all they wanted was babies and pregnancy, and that was like,
not ready at that
I
time.
know. As I said to Steve once, I'm like,
I don't think that would have the same appeal given
no, I know.
climate.
No. I mean, it was hard because when you write a romance with the baby and the baby has to go somewhere. The baby, you have to account for the baby at all times. You have to account for the baby at all times. You can't just like gloss over the baby for a few chapters like the baby doesn't exist. You have to keep track of the baby the whole time.
And it's like if you already have kids, you don't want to do that.
I know.
You're
ba-
already keeping track
That's
of the
right.
baby.
Kids are a total boner killer. So it doesn't really make sense to me, but people were really into it for a while.
I don't think many of the people reading those books probably.
I don't know. So my
Getting
best selling book for Harlequin was my second book I wrote for them, Pregnant by the Rival CEO.
Wow.
My husband was always like, so I'm confused. What is that book about?
I mean, can you explain it?
No, I can explain. Anyway, it was kind of like a Succession kind of thing. Like she was trying to, her dad was ill and she was trying to take over her company, but her like college crush was also secretly trying to sabotage the company at the same time, and he had his own company. Yes, he had his own company. Anyway, so and then he gets her pregnant.
As one does.
By
Not
Matt.
so fast.
So anyway, yes. What was your question, Beverly?
Yeah.
My other one was then, have you ever had to, well, you knew a lot about Formula One, which I'm
Yeah.
because I know nothing about it.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know, did you have to do any more research? Like,
I did
you
do
go ride in a car and know what it was
No. I mean, they don't let. Well, first off, they're single-seater cars,
Oh.
and secondly, no, you can't. I mean, you can't. A normal person would not be able to drive the car. Like you'd have to imagine pushing your brake about 10 times harder than you push the brake
I
to
can't
be able to brake.
drive the car that I have.
So right, exactly.
You knew that. So
yeah.
did you-
I did know that. I mean, I did know a lot about the sport. I did research about stuff like the drivers all stay in like these motorhome pens during the European races because there's like a whole series of European races. So they don't stay in hotels. They all rent these like super fancy motorhomes, and there's a top secret pen of where all the motorhomes go, and it's all the security and everything. So I had to find out like how that works, except they try to keep it top secret and they move it every year. And so it was hard to learn about something that's top secret. But, so I had to research a few things like that. It was more like about what the drivers' lives are actually like. This was funny. One of the Formula One fan podcasts did a book club episode about my book, like a week or two ago. It was very cool. It's this podcast called The Paddock Girls, and they did like an hour-long episode. I only listened to a few minutes because I'm too neurotic to listen to somebody talk
I would
about
be
my
like,
book
oh, you're going to talk about me?
for a whole hour. But that was funny. They were talking about how much they loved it, but then they were like, the only problem I had was there's no way she was recording for her podcast at the track. I mean, what kind of mic was she using? I did not research that at all.
Readers have opinions.
That's right. Especially podcasters.
And
Yep.
do what you can.
That's right. So, I'm sorry, what was your question?
Oh, I totally agree that I think now is a good moment for Formula One romance. So, do you have, will there be more Formula One romance from you?
There will. I have a second book coming that I have to do the edits on starting next week. It is about a driver and his dog nanny.
Oh, God. Wait, when is it coming out?
I think February, but I don't have anyway.
That's not so fast enough.
Sorry. It's called The Fast and the Furriest.
Stop. Can you do your books? So the Fast and Furious movies, they just don't have like a real system for naming.
Right.
Just,
That's right.
Yep. You
Yep.
should definitely do that.
Okay. Great.
That I'm giving you that tip for free.
Okay. Thank you. So there is another book coming, and it's Emilio is the driver, and he's in Not So Fast a little bit. Oh, you read the arc, yeah?
Oh, Emilio.
Yes.
I mean, he has a hot name, so good choice.
Yeah. So he's the driver in the second book, and then he basically has this adorable dog who keeps taking off, and all these people who are supposed to be dog sitters and dog nannies for him keep quitting. And he's basically like, his girlfriend dumped him, his parents are getting divorced, and his season is going terribly. And so like his dog is his whole life, and he has to have somebody who can take care of his dog and travel with him because the dog has to be with him at all times. So anyway, he hires
to know how you came up with that idea.
Well, the funny thing was, so I have a friend. Her name is Piper Trace. She's also a romance author. And when I want like really crazy ideas, I go to her. And so I couldn't figure out. I was like, I need some twist on, a traditional romance trope, like a nanny. And she goes, dog nanny.
It took me 2 years to come up with the idea I'm working on now. I should just be friends with
I
Piper.
think you should be friends with Piper. Well, but believe me, most of the time I spend on phone with Piper, I'm like trying to rein her in because she's like so like off in another planet. But and it works out really well because a lot of Formula One fans are really into the drivers' dogs. Like the dogs have their own Instagram accounts, and people know the dogs' names and know all the personalities of the dogs, and so it actually works out really well in that fandom.
Something I know nothing about.
Well, you need to learn more about Formula One, and then you need to learn more about Formula One dogs, drivers' dogs.
Put it on the to-do list.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it's coming in February. I don't know for sure, but it is next year for sure. So, does anybody else have a question? Jeff?
So, for the audiobook versions, do you have a part in that? Do you like to have a role in that?
I did have a part in that, although with this one, they gave me like 5 people that they had already picked. And they said, you have to pick from these 5 people. So luckily the woman I picked, I mean, I haven't listened to the audio other than the little snippet, but it sounds like everybody really likes her a lot. So she's a young whippersnapper. But it sounded like she did a good job with all the voices. So which is important.
Did you have much say in the cover?
I had no say in the cover. Well, and that's not entirely true. Originally the first drawing,
So cute.
they had like their backs to each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. Anyway, I had them switch that, and then we had to like embellish Mia a little bit. I had them put sunglasses on her head and put little checkered flags on her t-shirt. But other than that, I mean, they used a lot of the colors from a lot of my indie published books.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
so
nice.
cute.
Yeah, it's super cute. But I mean, they hired the illustrator and all of that, and so yeah, I had no idea what it was going to look like until they sent me the first draft of it.
Penguin, they ask us for like, what are your thoughts for the cover? Like a year before the book comes out. I'm like, girl, I don't have even half this book written.
Right.
And they give me too much say.
Well, so they do make me fill out what they call an art form, and it is horrible. Like it takes like 3 days to do it, because you have to write a 500-word synopsis of your entire book.
Oh, that is everyone's
which is
least favorite
horrible.
thing to do.
It is horrible because if you try to condense a whole book into 500 words, it sounds so stupid. Because you don't have any words, so you can't even put like any emotion or anything into it. She is sad. He is happy. So yeah, and then we have to describe all these scenes, but the silly thing is that you kind of already know from the beginning which scene you think is going to make the best cover. I wish they didn't make us kind of jump through all these hoops, but they do. So yeah, it's the least favorite part of the process is doing the art form.
I did just notice on the back here,
Yes.
it's when the curves are this dangerous. Who wrote that? Was it you?
No, I didn't write that.
My editor is making you write the retail copy.
No, I don't. No, I didn't do that
The curves
part.
are this dangerous.
No.
Because look at her. They are
Yeah,
dangerous.
that's right. Those curves are dangerous. No, I didn't write that.
Sorry, I got
No.
real
I mean,
distracted by
they I think I did punch up the thing that's on the online retailers. Like I think I added in high octane.
Ooh.
And
Sometimes
something like a high octane
sometimes I do a
romance
little
or
bit
something
of
like
help
that.
for that.
But other than that, no. I mean, they send it to me for approval, but it's I feel like they usually send it to me for approval the day they also just upload it to all of the retailers. So I don't really feel like I have that
I
much.
feel like that's not my experience.
Really?
They're like, keep working on it, Sarah. And I'm like, is this your job?
So they really make you do it? Wow.
I mean, sometimes they help me a little. I don't know. Maybe I'm a perfectionist. Maybe it's me.
Yeah.
Somehow I don't think so.
Huh.
But, okay, I need to know. Sorry for anyone else
Yeah.
having questions, but
Yeah.
I need to know. How did the title come about? I mean, it's the name of her podcast, so that's
Right.
brilliant. Did you come up with it?
I came up with the title first, and then I decided to name her podcast Not So Fast. And I was just brainstorming things about speed and cars and, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I just thought it was sort of, I don't know, I
It's
just
a great title.
liked it. And then it worked out because I could not only call her podcast that, but then it was also like part of her personality because she gets kind of panicky with, relationships and
As
stuff
one
like that.
does.
And so, even though she really likes him a lot, she was kind of holding him back a little bit. Like, I'm not sure about
Not
this.
so fast.
That's right, exactly. So,
And you just were like, hey, editor, I'm calling it this title. And they were like, yeah.
I mean, I gave it. I think they make me submit a list of 10 titles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Only 10? It only takes 10?
and then a lot of times they don't take any of those titles. They just come up with their own title. But this one they actually. And then for the next book, they also The Fast and the Furious was my idea.
It was brilliant. I always have to gear up for a fight when I gotta name a book.
Right.
They're
Well,
just-
I don't like titling books either. That's really hard.
nobody does. I
Yeah.
don't think. Maybe some people.
Maybe some people do, but
Not
I don't.
me.
I don't like it at all. It's really hard.
It is really hard.
Yeah. To capture like the personality of the book and make it interesting and not like every other book and all those other
My
things.
editor's always like, it needs more, romance in the title. I'm like, is it gonna have a cover? Like, for my first book, it's about yacht workers, and my agent is horrible at coming up with titles, and so is my editor. And they were like, what about summer cruising? And I was like,
oh no.
One, it's not a cruise ship, and two, I don't know if that means anything. I think your title is great.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I didn't really think they would go for it, but they did. So
you're just doing everything.
I guess I'm just trying. I'm just out here in these streets trying to write romance and make it work.
Not so fun.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions? Billy?
Are there conventions in the romance genre that you're expected, or like beats that you're expected to put in a book when you sit down?
Yes, it has to have a happy ending. And some people will say, those people are wrong, will say that it doesn't have to have a happy ending, but it's a romance novel. It's genre fiction.
It's the rule.
And just like you expect to find out who the murderer is at the end of a murder mystery, it has to be a happy, optimistic ending. It doesn't have to be like marriage or, anything like that, but it just has to, you have to be able to, the couple has to agree that they want to be together, and you have to be able to kind of envision them going into the future together. So that's the main one.
So does that make it easier or harder when you're sort of planning what's going to happen, that you already know that you're going to end up on a happy note?
Oh, I mean, I think it makes it, well, it's funny. I do always kind of struggle with, when you come into conflict or whatever, and I already know in my head, this is all going to work out, right? So it can be a little hard to kind of write the conflict in there, just knowing that. And of course, readers too have to kind of suspend disbelief, because they know, okay, but you want to keep them, not necessarily guessing, but questioning, could this really work out? How could these people overcome these differences, whatever they are? And a lot of times it does come down to people just kind of getting over themselves.
I mean, I think that is a lesson many of us could probably learn.
Right.
Like it's nice because it's you have somewhere to go. That's the easy part. But the hard part is, okay, every romance book is going to this kind of ending. So how do I do this in a way that is interesting?
Right.
Still.
Yeah. Well, and of course, everyone's seen a million rom-coms. Everyone, they're kissing in the rain, which I have written many times. But
try to think if I have. I don't remember.
Oh, I do like messing with the weather. That's kind of a fun thing to do when you can't figure out how to either make things complicated or make things easier. The weather helps.
Wow, I'm taking that.
You can be in charge of the weather.
I'm writing that down.
So I had a surprise blizzard in one of the cowboy books.
Surprise baby.
It happens a lot. No,
not that one.
I don't think that one had a surprise baby. I don't think it did. No, but yeah, there's a lot of surprise weather events in those cowboy books. Because
you don't like cowboy boots.
Well, I really just wanted him to go inside and have to take off those cowboy boots. That's what I was hoping for. Yes.
I know I sort of already asked you this earlier, but if you could name like a Taylor Swift song to this book, what would it be?
Oh my God.
I was thinking of a Taylor Swift question for you, but you beat me to it. You gotta prepare for these questions.
Well,
now,
I know.
Because they stump me every time.
I know, they stump me too.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to prepare every time you come now to my signings. I'm gonna need to think about that because I came up with the lyric earlier. Also, when you get older, you'll realize that you can't always remember the names of songs. And that's just part of the aging process, but you're very young, so I'm sure your brain is probably 80% Taylor Swift lyrics.
Can she phone a friend?
The books. No,
I need
to think about it. I need to think about it. So I need to think about it.
Now I'm going to think about it.
Okay. I need to think about it. Yes, Anna?
Do you guys ever think about veering off romance, there's like a fine line between romance and women's fiction, right?
Yes.
And sometimes women's fiction, it just doesn't have to have a happy ending,
Right.
but romance does it.
Right.
So do you ever go like, I would like to write something slightly tangential to romance, or do you want to stick straight?
No, I do. In fact, I've worked off and on. I have a book I've worked off and on that's like an historical women's fiction set in the 50s. About a woman who's married to a famous novelist, and he dies, and she doesn't realize the role she played in his books. I don't know if you saw the movie The Wife, where she, like, her husband wins a Nobel Prize, and she realizes after he wins a Nobel Prize, oh, wait a minute, I kind of played a big part in this. Anyway,
I love this.
So yeah, I've thought about it, but it's just so hard, It's like once they know they can count on you, and when I say they, I mean publishers, once they know that they can count on you for a certain thing and they want that thing, they just want you to keep doing that thing. Mm-hmm. So I haven't really been able to do that, to master that.
I live on the line of women's fiction, I would say. My first book, a lot of people are like, is it a romance or is it women's fiction? I didn't know when I wrote it. I was like, oh, a surprise. This is kind of romance, I guess. I'd say all my books have a kind of a women's fiction lean to them. But the book I'm working on now is decidedly not romance, for sure. So I'm a little bit of a rebel in that you're not going to tell me what to write. Right. And I will give you one idea at a time. I'm not pitching more than one because if I don't want to write it, I'm not going to. Mm-hmm. So if they don't buy it, oh well. Yeah. I'm still going to write it. So. Right. Yeah. And that's why my day job is not being a writer.
Well, it kind of is. Teaching writing.
Yeah, I'm teaching writing. Yeah. Teaching pays just as much as publishing.
That's right. Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Maybe. Yeah. I have to look at my finances.
Alyssa, were you gonna ask her question?
I was curious about the editing process and what that's like, and how much you have to accept, and how much you can push back, and how much of a thick skin you have to have.
I mean, ultimately, it's still my book, so you can push back against an editor. I haven't really been in a situation where I had any big fights over edits. And in fact, I had one editor who, not even, before I was even involved, it was basically she went back to the line editor. I could see, because we edit Microsoft Word and there's all the comments or whatever, and there's multiple editors. And so the line editor had gone through and she had basically tried to take out profanity. And my primary editor was like, no, this needs, if she put it in
not
there,
so fast.
Right. She put it in there for a reason. And so that's why it's there. But yeah, I mean, I have friends who have literally lost book deals because they couldn't get past arguments with an editor. I have a friend who had this dream 3-book deal that she was so excited about, and the editor they gave her was just terrible. Just so terrible. And she said it was just a total nightmare, and it just, kind of ruined the whole experience for her because the publisher wasn't willing to make a change. And so it does happen. I've been very lucky I haven't run into that. But for the most part, I feel like they're respectful of what you want.
I feel like I think that it happens probably not as often as people think, because when an editor buys your books, it's because it's not just the book, it's usually you as a writer too that they're trusting, and they believe in you and whatever your vision is. At least with my editor, she's pretty hands off. I don't know if it's because I'm a neurotic perfectionist and I will work on a book 12 drafts before she's even seen it. Right. But she, I think she's made suggestions that I haven't taken, but she's very, I think that my agent and my editor, they believe in my writing, and so they kind of trust me on that. I haven't really had any issues with that kind of thing, but I think it really depends on your editor more than anything else. Right.
Yeah, and there's bad ones out there.
There's that.
There's bad ones.
I don't know them. But
How much turnover is there in the editing field? So I mean, you've written how many 40 something books?
7. Yes.
Yeah. And so I mean, how many?
I mean,
How frequently do you have a new editor?
this is only my second editor at Harlequin.
Oh wow.
So, and I mean, I've written 32 for Harlequin. So yeah, so through now there were a few books in there where they had like a special editor was brought in because it was like a multi-author series, and basically it's like a continuity person who just has to know the whole series backward and forward so that they can keep track of all of the details and everything. But yeah, I mean, I've only had 2 editors, so I think in general those jobs are not easy to come by, and so I think once people get into them, they don't tend to leave. And it is true that like all of the like senior people at Harlequin who were there when I first signed are still all there. So there's not a lot of turnover, surprisingly. Yes, Stephanie?
It just strikes me that you think about love probably way more than anybody else on the planet. And I just wonder, like, what do you end up wanting to make sure that people know about love? Like, you're the love expert now. Oh.
Well, it's hard because, you know, when I write a book, I don't want the characters to feel like they're defined by this relationship. You know, if it works well, it should mean that it makes their life better, and you know, this other person is a partner, and you know, so I think about that a lot. Like, how do I not make these people hopelessly codependent and you know, try to keep it not dysfunctional and all of that. But I think for me, you know, I think part of the reason why, you know, like literary experts or whatever will love to drag romance is because love is such like a basic thing that we all want, that it's sort of considered a cliche because we all want it, because it's that universal that we all want it. We all want it in some shape or form. And so, yeah, that's part of what I love about writing it, is because I love experiencing it and figuring out all these different ways that 2 people can be together and have their lives be better. But I think, you know, yeah, I just, the optimism and the hope and all of that, I think we shouldn't shy away from that. We shouldn't, you know, there's a million different forms of love, and I think that's it really is like the most amazing thing that can happen between 2 people. So that's what I think.
You heard it here first. Love expert Karen Booth.
Yeah. Yes.
What do you read?
What?
What do you read?
Oh, what do I
When
read?
you're not-
Let's see. So right
does it
now,
differ when you're writing versus when
it
you're
does.
off.
It
which
does.
Is what I figured.
So I don't read a ton of romance when I'm writing. I tend to, you know, when I'm done. So, and I'm a very bad person. I tend to read like 3 books at one time.
I read like 5.
Yeah, okay.
I finished maybe
good.
2.
Okay. So actually, I'm reading Sarah's book, Last Call at the Local. Her book from her last book that made the USA Today bestseller list.
For that, yeah.
I'm reading Demon Copperhead, and I'm reading Jamie Brenner's last book, which is Summer something. I don't remember. That's very like women's fiction-y with a tiny little bit of romance in it. Those are the main 3 I'm reading right now, I think. But yeah, I mean, part of it is like, you know, a lot of times I don't get to read until bedtime. So it's kind of like, how much bandwidth do I have? What's holding my interest the most? Do I need to read something really happy? I mean, Demon Copperhead is an amazing book and the writing is unbelievable, but there are some parts of it that are a little depressing. So I can't always, then I read Sarah's book instead. So, how about you?
Oh, me. My secret is I'm really bad at reading a lot.
Okay.
But I actually read a lot of nonfiction. I'm a big nonfiction reader.
Yep.
I used to read like 40, 50 books a year, which is like nothing in the book world
Right.
for some reason. These bookstagrammers, what do they do?
I
What
don't
are they
know.
doing?
I don't know.
Can they give me some of whatever they're doing?
I know that they read like a book a day.
Yeah, my husband can read a book a day. Like
I can't read that.
I don't
fast.
understand.
Is there anyone in this room who can read a book a day? Oh.
Me.
Yeah. I've been reading the same
Wow.
book for like a month.
Right.
I think I've read like 4 books.
Right. Right.
Maybe. That's a lot for me compared
Yeah.
to last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a reading slump. What
Yep.
can I say?
Now I know. Reading slumps are hard.
They're really hard.
Yep.
So there's, I mean, for people who don't know F1, this is a technical sport. And
Mhm.
if you're writing about high finance world, that's a technical thing. So
Right.
how do you know how much to put in to educate your readers without, overdosing them on
Right.
real highly technical aspects?
Yeah. There's definitely a balance there. I think I just tried to sort of go with what are the bare minimum of, what's the bare minimum you need to know to understand the sport. Luckily, it's a race. Everybody here who went to PE class knows the object of a race, so that makes it easy enough. But yeah, with the, I didn't get in too deep in the woods with the weeds. Sorry, not the woods, the weeds. I didn't get too deep in the weeds with the technical aspects of it, or the cars or anything like that.
Because you have such knowledge of these things.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, yes and no. There are people who know a lot more than I do. But so I just tried to find a balance where basically it was, is this enough for people to enjoy it and to understand the sport and to not feel like they're getting a lesson in Formula One, because that's boring. Especially a lot of people just want to read the romance. They don't really care that much about, that it's set in that world or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. It was delicate, and there were a few situations where my editor was like, "Can you explain this a little bit more?" That was really helpful. But the big thing that she cared about the most was the dynamic between the teammates, because it is one of the more interesting. There are no other sports where there's only 2, people on a team, but you're also competing with that person every week. So, but yeah, my editor kind of guided me through it. Anything else? Yes.
Just not being in publishing, I'm always a little surprised by the strict lines between genres. Like question over here about women's fiction versus romance versus like mystery, and there just seems to be such silence about this. But your comment about love being so universal made me think, gosh, and happy endings. I don't think I read a Jane Austen book, and they're always about love. And they always seem to have happy ending unless I'm missing one.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Jane Austen would be a romance writer.
Yes.
She's writing today.
Yes, of course. Yes, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
she's considered literature.
Yeah. Well, I think, part of it is that time, but I mean, I feel like there's Jane Austen retellings in romance every single year, like just dozens of them.
And I feel like there's more variety in the romance genre than maybe people who don't read it a lot think, because a historical romance novel is going to be very different from a contemporary, or like there's different expectations within those genres. Like a cowboy romance, there's specific things that we expect.
Like cowboy boots.
Like cowboy boots.
He can't wear his Chuck Taylors and go round up the cattle, even though I think that would be a good look.
Look at us
Totally
brainstorming a book already.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, that's one of the cool things about romance is that there's so many little niches and all of that. We actually talked about this, Lane. We talked about this the last time I did an event here, because we talked about, there's this author named Chuck Tingle who writes these like crazy romances about like inanimate objects. Yeah, like a guy falling in love with a bicycle seat.
How have I been sleeping?
The doorknob. Yeah, there's a doorknob book. But anyway, so I don't know if you guys heard that. Was it the newspaper in Chicago had published this book list of like 25 summer reads.
Oh yeah.
And there were books on the list that didn't exist. Chuck Tingle 2 days later published one of those books. He wrote one of the books that was on the list, and then he published it.
I want to befriend him.
I know. Yeah, he's like it's like the hardest working. I mean, 2 days. That's 2 days. He was that like on the spot with it. But anyway, yes, if you want to read a book about a bicycle seat, you can. Yeah.
Don't tempt me.
Yes.
Do you model any of the drivers in your books after actual F1 racers?
So, I mean, a lot of people think that Xander looks like George Russell, and he does a little bit. And that was one of the photos that I had given to the illustrator was of George Russell. And but I did kind of take little bits from other drivers, his like backstory. A little bit of like Lewis Hamilton when he first started racing. You know, his family didn't come from money. Esteban Ocon, same thing. These are just drivers that are currently Formula One drivers who didn't come from money because it's an unbelievably expensive sport to get into. And so their families had to make all these sacrifices. To Esteban Ocon's family mortgaged their house so that he could be in go-kart racing when he was little, because that's kind of the only path into that sport. So it is sort of cobbled together. Xander probably looks the most like George Russell, but he's not, you know, he's not George Russell. And Emilio, the hero in the next one, is a little bit Carlos Sainz.
I think I have great hair.
What? Yes, of course he has great hair. Oh,
Sign me up.
Yeah. And he's a Spanish driver too, so yeah. But yes, that's kind of cobbled together. I don't do the like direct fan fiction thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I appreciate that too, but I don't know. I don't want to write a real person. You know, I'd much rather write my own fictional character.
Maybe one more question and then wrap it up.
Okay. Anything else? Yes?
Do you have an answer?
No, I don't. I've been thinking this. No.
Getaway car.
All right, Leah, you're gonna have to give me your email or let me text you. Okay? All right. Give me your cell number and I'll text you later. Okay, we can start like a texting situationship.
Are you gonna like let me in?
Oh yeah.
Put it in your Instagram stories and like let us know what you decide.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm gonna be thinking.
I need to think about the totality of the story. Yeah. And then I need to remember song lyrics, which again,
She's
I said when you get older.
Taylor Swift.
That's right. That's right. So, okay. All right. Well, thanks, you guys.